please put that heavy bag back on the shelf. Have you noticed how the price of everything at the garden center has skyrocketed lately? We are literally throwing our pension money into the dirt. And frankly, those bags are getting too heavy for our backs to lift anymore. Picture this. You walk into your garden, and the soil is so light and fluffy that you can plant with just your fingers. No digging, no strain, and you made it yourself for half the price. Today, we stop paying for overpriced dirt. Instead, we are going to make the perfect soil right at home. It is lighter, it is cheaper, and it lasts forever. We all know the struggle. We love our gardens, but our knees and lower backs just do not agree with the heavy digging anymore. And the worst part? Buying that cheap topsoil usually brings in weeds, diseases, and rocks. Then we spend all summer pulling weeds until our hands ache. I remember one year I bought 3 bags of what they called premium garden soil. Within 2 weeks, I had more dandelions than tomatoes. I was so frustrated, I almost gave up. It should not be this hard. Gardening should be about joy, not pain. It should be about sitting in the sunshine with a cup of tea, watching things grow, not wrestling with heavy bags and hard ground. Years ago, I discovered a secret in a wonderful book called All New Square Foot Gardening by Mel Bartholomew. Mel was an engineer, and he wanted to solve a problem. How can we grow the most food with the least amount of work? He came up with a recipe. He called it Mel's Mix. Think of it like baking a cake. If you have the right recipe, the cake is always perfect. This soil recipe is the same. It is fail-proof. I have been using this mix for over a decade now, and I can tell you honestly, it has changed everything. My plants are healthier, my back does not hurt, and I have not bought a bag of soil in years. Here is the magic formula. It is as easy as 1, 2, 3. We need equal parts of just 3 things. Not by weight, but by volume. Just use the same bucket for each. First, 1/3 blended compost. Think of this as the food. It is the vitamins for your plants. If you can, mix a few different kinds together, like manure compost, mushroom compost, or homemade compost. The more variety, the better the meal. Now, I know some of you might be worried about the smell. Do not be. Once it is mixed with the other ingredients, there is no odor at all. And if you are buying it, most garden centers sell well-aged compost that smells like fresh earth, not a barnyard. Second, 1/3 peat moss. This acts like a sponge. It holds the water, so you do not have to drag that heavy hose out to the garden every single day. Peat moss is also incredibly light. If you have trouble lifting heavy bags, this is your friend. A big bale looks huge, but it weighs almost nothing. One quick note. Some folks prefer to use cocoa coir instead of peat moss because it is more sustainable. That works beautifully too. Same measurements, same results. Third, 1/3 coarse vermiculite. This is the secret weapon. It keeps the soil light and fluffy. It creates space for air so the roots can breathe and travel easily without fighting hard ground. Vermiculite also helps with drainage. If you have ever had plants that just sat in water and rotted, this solves that problem. The roots stay moist, but never waterlogged. Make sure you get the coarse kind, not the fine powder. The coarse stuff lasts longer and does not compact over time. Now, just mix them together. You can do this in a wheelbarrow, a big tub, or even on a tarp. No fancy equipment needed. And here is the beautiful part. You can mix this sitting down. Just pull up a chair, put the bucket between your knees, and stir. No bending, no strain. Why do we love this mix so much? First, look at this texture. It stays loose forever. That means no more digging. No more rototillers shaking your joints apart. You just plant and you harvest. I can push my finger all the way down to the bottom of my raised bed without any effort. When it is time to plant, I just make a little hole with my hand, drop in the seed or transplant, and pat it gently. Done. Second, there are no weed seeds in here. Imagine a season where you hardly have to bend down to pull a weed. Last summer, I think I pulled maybe a dozen weeds total. Compare that to the hundreds I used to pull every week when I used cheap topsoil. My back has never been happier. Third, this mix is reusable. At the end of the season, just add a little fresh compost on top. Mix it in gently, and you are ready to plant again. It does not break down or turn into hard clay like regular dirt. And here is my best tip for you. Buy these ingredients now. Inflation is hitting hard, and come spring, everyone will be rushing to the stores, driving prices up. Stock up now while it is quieter and cheaper. Your wallet will thank you later. I bought all my supplies in late winter last year and saved almost 40%. Compared to what my neighbor paid in April, that is real money back in your pocket. Bonus tip number 1. Start small. You do not need to fill an entire garden bed on day 1. Mix up 1 or 2 buckets worth and try it in a few pots or a small raised bed. Once you see how well it works, you will want to make more. Trust me. Bonus tip number 2. Store your ingredients properly. Keep your peat moss and vermiculite in a dry place, like a garage or shed. Compost can stay outside, but cover it with a tarp so it does not wash away in the rain. I keep mine in big plastic storage bins with lids. It stays dry, it keeps critters out, and I can mix a fresh batch whenever I need it without running to the store. Bonus tip number 3. This works everywhere. Whether you are in Florida, Arizona, Minnesota, or Maine, this mix works. It does not matter what your native soil is like, because you are not using native soil. You are creating the perfect environment from scratch. I have friends in Zone 4 and friends in Zone 9, and we all use the same recipe. The plants do not care what the weather is outside, they just care that their roots are happy. Quick question for you. Are you planning to use this mix in raised beds? Or are you thinking about trying it in containers on a patio or balcony? Drop a comment and let me know. I love hearing how everyone is setting up their gardens, and it helps me know what kind of videos to make next. And if you are worried about cost, let me put your mind at ease. A typical 4x4 foot raised bed needs about 12 buckets of mix total. That is 4 buckets of each ingredient. When I priced it out last year, that came to about $35 for the whole bed. Compare that to buying 12 bags of potting soil at $15 each. You would spend $180. We just saved you over $140 on one bed. Now, let me walk you through how I actually use this in my garden. I have 3 raised beds, each 4 feet by 4 feet and about 10 inches deep. Every spring, I top them off with a fresh layer of Mel's mix, about 2 inches deep. I gently work it into the top layer of last year's soil with my hands. No tools needed. Then I plant. And I am telling you, the difference is like night and day. My tomatoes grow twice as fast as my neighbors. My lettuce is so tender and sweet that I actually crave salads now. And my peppers, they produce so many that I give bags of them away. What if you have pets or grandkids? This mix is completely safe. There are no chemicals, no fertilizers, nothing toxic. If your dog digs in it or your grandchild touches it, you do not have to panic. In fact, one of my granddaughters loves to help me plant. She gets her hands right in there. And I do not worry for a second. What if you are in an apartment or condo? This mix is perfect for containers. Use it in pots on your balcony, in window boxes, or even in those fabric grow bags. Because it is so light, you are not adding a ton of weight to your balcony. And because it drains so well, you will not have water pooling and making a mess. I have a friend who grows cherry tomatoes and herbs in 5-gallon buckets on her third-floor balcony using this exact mix. She says it is the best decision she ever made. Here is another question for you. What is the first thing you are going to plant in your new perfect soil? Are you a tomato person, or are you more excited about fresh salad greens? Let me know in the comments. I'm always curious what gets people excited about gardening. And if you are not sure what to plant, stick around, because I have a whole series of videos coming up about the easiest, most forgiving plants for beginners, and for those of us who want a beautiful garden without breaking our backs. Here is something nobody talks about, but I am going to say it. There is something deeply satisfying about having the best-looking garden on the block. When you use Mel's mix, your plants grow so healthy and vibrant that people notice. My neighbor asked me last summer if I had hired a professional gardener. I just smiled and said, "Nope, just good soil." She could not believe it. She thought I was spending hundreds of dollars on fancy fertilizers or secret treatments. The truth? I spent less than she did, and I did a fraction of the work. Your garden is going to look like $1 million, and people are going to think you have a green thumb. Let them think that. You and I will know the real secret. It is not magic. It is just the right recipe. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this sounds great, but what if I mess it up? Let me reassure you, you cannot mess this up. As long as you use roughly equal parts of each ingredient, it is going to work. You do not need to be precise. Gardening is not chemistry. It is more like cooking. A little more of this, a little less of that, it all works out. And if you are worried about where to buy these ingredients, do not be. Every garden center, hardware store, and even big box store like Home Depot or Lowe's carries all three. If you are really nervous, start with just 1 bucket of each. Mix it up, fill a couple of pots, and plant something easy like lettuce or radishes. In 2 weeks, you will see the difference, and you will be hooked. Gardening keeps us young, but we have to garden smarter, not harder. Give Mel's mix a try this season. Your back will feel the difference, and your tomatoes certainly will. If you want more tips on how we can grow food without the heavy lifting, please join our community by subscribing. I share new videos every week on simple, practical gardening strategies that actually work for real people with real limitations. No fancy equipment, no complicated techniques. Just honest advice from someone who has been exactly where you are. Before you go, I would love to hear from you. What is your biggest frustration with gardening right now? Is it the cost, the physical strain, not knowing what to plant? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one, and your questions help me create videos that actually solve the problems you are facing. Take care of yourself and happy gardening. I will see you in the next video.